ఓం వందే శంభుముమాపతిం సురగురుం వందే జగత్కారణం వందే పన్నగభూషణం శశిధరం వందే పశూనాం పతిం వందే సూర్య శశాంకవన్నినయనం వందే ముకుంద ప్రియం వందే భక్తజన ఆశ్రయం చ వరదం వందే భక్తజన ఆశ్రయం చ వరదం వందే శివం శంకరం. ఫ్రెండ్స్, శ్రీమద్ భగవద్గీత ends with ప్రపత్తి యోగా. సర్వధర్మాన్ పరిత్యజ్య మాం ఏకం శరణం వ్రజ అహం త్వా సర్వపాపేభ్యో మోక్షయిష్యామి మా శుచః. శ్రీకృష్ణ declares, let everything be surrendered at the feet. You please submit yourself at my feet. I shall save you from everything. I shall give you redemption, mukti, moksha, self-realization. Mama maya duratyaya mam eva prapadyante mayametam tarantite. It is impossible for anybody to shatter my maya. Fall at my feet. Make a self-surrender. I shall remove all impediments. I shall remove all problems. I shall make your journey smooth. I shall take you to the peaks of perfection. I shall give you the glory of success. Mama maya duratyaya. Impossible for you to overcome my maya. Fall at my feet. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyaham. Whoever thinks of me, whoever surrenders everything before me, is sure to be protected, is sure to be saved. The entire Ramayana is Sharanagati Shastra. The entire Bhagavad Gita is nothing but Sharanagati Shastra. All the yogas culminate in Prapatti Yoga or Sharanagati Yoga. Swami Vivekananda believes in self-surrender. The entire life of Swami Vivekananda is nothing but the culmination of yoga, fruition of yoga in self-surrender. Everywhere in all the letters you find the sentence, by the grace of God. Purity is essential, prayer is essential, perseverance is essential. Finally, it is self-surrender to win the divine grace. From our side it is surrender, from God's side it is divine grace. The grace on one side, surrender on another side, are the obverse and reverse of the same coin, bhakti. Swami Vivekananda practiced that self-surrender and therefore he is crowned with success. A specific incident. Swami Vivekananda was in Boston. He reached US very much in advance when he wanted to take part in the Parliament of Religions. To his dismay, it was told that the Parliament was postponed by about a month. Instead of August, it would be in September. The money with him was not sufficient to maintain himself in Chicago. Someone suggested that he could go to Boston and stay there, return a day or two before the opening of the Parliament of Religions. Swami Vivekananda took the advice, went to Boston, stayed with Miss Sanborn, it was she who took Swami Vivekananda to Professor Wright. Professor Wright and Swami Vivekananda had many intellectual discussions, and this Professor Wright wrote a letter to Professor Barrows, the President of the Parliament of Religions. Mr. Barrows, here is a man called Swami Vivekananda, who is more learned than all the learned professors of America put together. He does not have any testimonials or certificates. He is effulgent, bright, he has virtues, he has ojas, he has tejas. To ask him for certificates is to ask the sun god his right to shine. Such a luminary personality is Swami Vivekananda. I am sending him as a delegate to take part in the Parliament of Religions. Please give him an opportunity, accommodate him. Swami Vivekananda, on the 9th of September 1893, it was a Saturday, he started his return journey from Boston to Chicago. Professor Wright gave him money, bought the ticket, and he also gave a copy of the introductory letter he wrote to Professor Barrows. He gave the address of Professor Barrows. With them all, on Saturday, Swami Vivekananda started from Boston by train. He was to reach in the evening on that day. He was a little sleepy. When he slept, he lost the address, he lost the money, he lost the letter, copy of the letter written to Professor Barrows. At about 8 o'clock in Chicago railway station, he came out of the train, went out, made a search for the house of Professor Barrows. Unfortunately, the area where he was searching was a Greek-speaking locality. He was not understood by them, and he could not be understood by them. They could not be understood by him, because the local people there were Greek-speaking people. In the late night, he returned to the railway station, crept into a dark compartment which was in the yard, slept. 10th morning, Sunday, he came out of the compartment, had a small wash on the platform, continued his search for the house of Professor Barrows. He knew only one name, Professor Barrows, not the address, not the street name, not the house number. He was walking, asking house after house, "Excuse me, do you know where Professor Barrows lives?" Some people politely replied no. Some people slammed the doors. Some people snarled at him. The search was useless, fruitless. From 6 o'clock or so in the morning till 10:30, without food, without wash, tired, he went on asking. Beautifully, the inquiry was given the description, from the snarl of a dog to the smile of an angel, I found when I made the inquiry for the house of Professor Barrows. He was not able to get. Sun was becoming hot. There was hunger. There was thirst. He was tired. And then he remembered the great sentence of Sri Krishna, sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. No doubt you will have the crown of success if only there is self-surrender. Mama maya duratyaya, impossible for you, man, to shatter my maya, fall at my feet. I shall remove it, grant you bliss. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. I shall not let down my devotees. Have faith in me. Have confidence in me. Make yourself a man of self-surrender. May you have the crown of success. Swami Vivekananda remembered the Bhagavad Gita and the Charma Sloka, which highlighted the self-surrender. He remembered Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, his own master, who has surrendered his all at the feet of Ma Kali. He remembered the great rishis of this land. Each rishi was a person of total Sharanagati. The scholars of this country, the collective consciousness of this country, the bhaktas of this country, the culture of this country, the heritage of this country, all ended up in one particular thing, and that is prapatti, prapatti, sharanagati, sharanagati, sharanagati. All the rivers born in the Himalayas flow, 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 and find fruition when they surrender in the sea. They lose their identity. They merge with the sea. They become one with the sea. Similarly, whether it is Raja Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga, all the yogas find fulfillment. They find culmination, fruition, only when they surrender, merge with the sea. Swami Vivekananda remembered the essence of yogic philosophy, and he sat literally on the roadside. Anyatha sharanam nasti tvameva sharanam mama. He was like Gajendra appealing to the Adi Narayana. He was like Draupadi Devi in the public court hall when she was being disrobed by Dushyasana. Krishna, Mukunda, Achyuta, come to my rescue. Krishnancha Vishnuncha Harim Narancha Tranaya Vikroshati Yajnaseni. Tatastu dharmaha antarita samavruno vividhai suvastrai. The dharma of our land is Sharanagati. We are after all instruments, tools. Sri Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, Nimitta matram bhava S-VYASA. You are after all an instrument in my hands. Do your duty. Karma phala tyaga. You decide to give up everything, offer yourself. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa wanted to have the darshan of Ma Kali. Everything was offered, pranarpanam also he made, and goddess appeared. This is the crowning philosophy. Total self-surrender, absolute Sharanagati, nullifying the individuality. The rivers merge with the sea, and when he sat on the roadside on the 10th of September, Sunday, depending upon God for the future course of action, for the fulfillment of his effort, he made a total self-surrender and said, "Oh God, depending upon you, I came all the way from India to tell the West about the grandeur of the Eastern philosophy, to tell the human mankind about the great spiritual flower of our country. Now I am helpless. I am stranded. There is none to come to my rescue. Anyatha sharanam nasti tvameva sharanam mama. I am now in the tightest corner like Gajendra. I am in the most despicable plight like Draupadi. Please come to my rescue. Prabho, Ma, Mother India, my Master Sri Ramakrishna, and all the gods and goddesses of our ancient culture and the spiritual fervor. Please come to my rescue. Opposite there was a house. The window opened. A lady peeped out. It was an angel. Her name was Mrs. Hale. She came down, came out, walked across the road, stood before Swami Vivekananda. In the sweetest voice, she said, "Sir, are you a delegate to the Parliament of Religions?" Swami Vivekananda had a sigh of relief. It was like the rain of nectar. There were Ananda Bhashpas. He was able to see divinity showering Amrita on himself. He looked at her, said, "Yes, Ma." It was she who took him in, showed the washroom. He refreshed himself. He had the breakfast. It was this lady, Mrs. Hale, who took Swami Vivekananda to Professor Barrow's, and the history started changing. The very next day, 11th September, the unknown monk of the previous day became the global personality. Have faith. Surrender yourself. Have no reservations. It is the absolute faith in God that will come to your rescue. May we all, by the grace of God Almighty, learn to offer ourselves at the feet of the Almighty. Paripurna Prapatti, total Sharanagati, and that is the highest of all the yogas which Swami Vivekananda observed. Yogi Vivekananda, Paripurna Swami Yogi Vivekananda, in his footprints, let us learn to be of Sharanagati Yoga. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you very much. Om Namastri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine.